Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. This is Our Take. We are your hosts. My name is Ocean.
I'm Taylor.
And ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to talk to you about the Disney original Strange World. This movie came out in theaters first, right? It came out in theaters, I want to say like a month ago, like at the beginning of December maybe.
November 23rd.
Oh, okay.
And then it released on Disney Plus.
And then so it was only in the theaters for like a couple weeks. And I remember you had mentioned that you wanted to see it while it was in the theaters. We just didn't get around to doing it. There's a lot to watch in December and stuff. So, but we have both now watched it, and we want to give you guys our take on this movie. I think it's a pretty important one, especially for me specifically, and I'll talk about why. But we'll do this in traditional fashion as always, ladies and gentlemen. We'll give spoiler-free review real fast, and then we'll get out some scores and then dive into some spoilers. So, as far as a spoiler-free movie goes, spoiler-free review goes, I took a quick peek at some of the reviews that are out online, and it seems like the general reception to this movie was pretty poor. There are some very angry people on the internet, but
as usual,
I'm gonna have to disagree with them. I actually enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a fun movie, and there are some really great themes and topics that are discussed in this movie, and I'll dive into that a little bit more in the spoiler section. But when I watched this movie, I enjoyed it, and I didn't feel like I was being pushed around in any particular direction, if you catch my drift.
Yeah. On
something. So I'm curious to know what you thought of it, because I'm sure you thought I was going to think a certain way about this movie, but I don't know. What did you think about this movie?
I actually like this movie quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's not something that I would say is like outstanding or something for me personally, but I did enjoy this movie. I felt really bad for everybody involved with creating this movie, because for what it's like, what it was, I thought it really was mostly to blame for Disney, because they didn't market this movie very much to begin with. I knew it was coming out. I wasn't able to see it when it came out, but having watched it, I really wish that Disney pushed more marketing for this movie.
I do agree with you on that one. I think there's some important steps forward with this movie that are what I've been calling for from Disney for a while. And I'll, like I said, I'll get into it a little bit more in the spoiler section. But at the end of the day, I do recommend watching this movie. I think it's safe for pretty much almost all ages. It's a fun movie. It's not that long. I think it's only like an hour and 40 minutes or so. Do you have the runtime?
1:42.
Yeah, nice. Oh, I'm on it. Yeah, hour and 40 minutes or so. And it's on Disney Plus. You guys can find it on there, and I'd recommend watching it.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It's got a lot of good voice actors too.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal is in it, right? Yeah. Who's the dad?
The dad. Welcome back, Mr. Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was him, but I couldn't nail it for sure. Yeah. All right, so now that we've talked about it, spoiler free, and you guys have an idea of whether or not you should watch it, let's talk about some scores, okay? Before we dive into the scores, I will say that this movie had the potential to make it into my top 10. If you haven't checked out our top 10 movies of 2022, check out that video. And then after you're done watching that, watch the worst 5 movies of 2022 right after that. But
you probably clicked on it first, but you know.
But I will say that when I was making my 2022 top 10 list, that I had this on my like list of movies that I potentially could put in there.
Yeah.
And the only reason, or not the only reason, but the major reason why I didn't put it in there was because I had just watched it like the night before we filmed, and I didn't want the like fresh in my mind, just watched it thing to dominate my thoughts. So I left it out of there, and I'm glad that I did, because I do think that the 10 that I had on there are better movies than this. But just to give you guys an idea of how much I did enjoy this movie, that it could have potentially made it on my top 10. Yeah. What would you score this movie, Taylor?
Uh, I think I would give this movie a solid 8.
Yeah, I think I will agree with you on an 8. It's a solid movie. I think there's a lot of originality to it, even despite a lot of people saying that there's not. I mean, like I
There's a lot of things in this movie that I normally have a hate for in
yeah.
Disney that I did not have in this movie.
It'd be interesting to dive into. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have our scores, you have our recommendations as far as spoiler free goes. We're going to dive into some spoilers now. So if you haven't seen this movie, I do recommend watching it first. Go check it out on Disney Plus, watch it, and then come back and finish out the spoilers with us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is your official.
Spoiler alert.
Okay, so to your knowledge, Taylor, did was there any or was Strange World based off of anything? Like, was it based off a book or game or anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so I wanted to clarify because sometimes I miss stuff, and maybe there was an old Strange World, or I don't know. But to my knowledge, it wasn't based off anything. So the first thing I want to talk about is the elephant in the room. Okay, and it's something that I think a lot of the negative reviews online are based off of, and it has to do with the fact that the main character's son, or actually, I guess they're co-main characters. This guy right here, whose name is
The character or the
Searcher.
actor?
No, that's the dad. Searcher is the
Yeah,
dad.
Searcher is the dad. That's Jake Gyllenhaal, and then Ethan,
Ethan.
played by Jabuki Young White.
So Ethan is gay. He's 16 years old and he's gay. And we see on film, on screen, his interest in another male character. Um, what's the name? It's like Dijon or something like that. Whatever. But he sees, we see it on screen, and it's apparent throughout the film that he's gay. It comes up multiple times. However, it's not the focal point of the story. The focal point of the story is not that he's gay and that's a problem for the dad or a problem for anybody. He just is gay. So I know that in a lot of Disney movies, or actually a lot of just movies and stuff that have come out recently, there's been a lot of like interjection of this woke ideas of, gender identity and sexual orientation and whatnot. And I've been a little critical of it, specifically stuff like Willow and some other things. But I always want to emphasize that it's not that I'm critical of the fact that people are gay. It's that they're interjecting it into things that have already been established and don't have that in the storyline of that. So, my point is that for this movie, I don't mind it at all. Like, it doesn't bother me at all, the fact that he's gay, because this is a brand new story to me, a brand new story to everybody, I'm pretty sure. And this is a new character, and I think it's completely fine. Like, I don't think there's any issue of the fact that this person is or this character is gay, and it's a part of life, part of society now. So I think it's great that there's representation in something new, something that has been created, new or recently, that there's representation for the gay community. So I think it's fine. And I've seen some reviews and some people saying that, like, oh, this character being gay is not okay and parents shouldn't take their kids to see it. But it's like, what's the difference between this 16-year-old kid being gay and gushing all over another dude, and all the other 16-year-old movies like High School Musical and shit that Disney has come out with, where heterosexual couple and stuff. So like, I don't have any issues with it. I don't know how you feel about it, or whether or not you were expecting to get into it, but
No, I was.
uh,
I knew it was going to come up.
yeah,
So this is part of what I was kind of talking or like referencing is normally Disney does this kind of thing really, really bad.
yeah. Like,
In
they
this
just
movie, it's actually really good.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I guess yeah, sure. It helps that it's a new like story, new movie, new characters, and all that. It's just, but in general, for me, just the way it's implemented in this movie, it doesn't feel forced. It just feels
Right.
natural. Doesn't even like it's not even a thought in my head like, oh, why is this here? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like, it's just there and that's it. It just
Because
fits
it's
within the
just a
story,
yeah.
fits within the character. it makes no difference.
Right.
And I like that.
I do too, and I like how when the subject of him being gay is first brought up in the movie, the father Searcher, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, uh, has no issue with it, right? Like, and that's great to see that, and that's how it should be, in my opinion. But even later on in the movie, when they end up going into, on their adventure and they find Searcher's long lost dad, and he tells his dad that his son is gay, there's this brief moment where there's like a pause in the scene of the dad tells him that Searcher tells his dad that Ethan is gay and that he wants to be an adventurer. And there's this like brief moment of the dad like processing things. And then he like says something along the lines of, he wants to be an explorer. Well, that's great, or something like that. And I thought it was great because it you're there's that moment of like, oh my God, is he gonna freak out that his grandson is gay and have this whole big problem, and then now they're gonna make this about gay inclusivity and stuff. But instead, they didn't. They chose to just have it in there, show that it's just a natural part of life and society in these days, but that it doesn't drive the story, that it's not a main focal point of the story, and that the story is about, the generational growth of the son, the father, and the grandfather.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a perfect example of them not losing sight of their story that they're trying to tell. Because, of course, he should really care about when he's like, oh, he wants to be an explorer too, because that's what his dad is. And, that's kind of like the whole family kind of is related to. So I was glad. Yeah, that was another moment. I was just like, I'm glad they didn't dwell on this so much, and it's just a thing, and we just continue the main story.
And it's just normal. It's not special, I guess. Like, yeah, I don't know. I actually am thankful that Disney was able to do it right for once, because they've ruined some other things for me personally, and with that whole thing.
Maybe that's the secret reason why they didn't promote this movie. No,
maybe, I don't know, but like it's just nice that the company that I've been harping on for the longest about this actually did it right. And I'll give credit where credit is due. Like, hey, you guys did it right, and I would love to see more of this across. Like, if they call for it, if the stories that they decide to come or portray and whatnot call for it, if you do it more like this, then I think people will have an easier time accepting it and growing, like just it becoming a normal thing instead of this like forced down your throat stuff. So kudos to you, Disney, for actually getting it right, in my opinion, for this. And for those of you out there that are not a fan of it, I encourage you to watch some of the other stuff that Disney has put out recently that include this
to
topic.
be fair, there is a like portion of viewers that do this for every single Disney thing
That
ever.
is true.
So I don't know if maybe what we saw was just like that same crowd or whatever, but
maybe, yeah. There's some people that are just never going to accept it, which, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. But yeah, kudos to you, Disney. All right, let's talk about the story itself and how things went, and the fact that it was basically just like a cool rendition of Magic School Bus. Which is one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid. Yeah, awesome. And it's funny because as there was a point where like they had just gotten into the world and they were kind of exploring a little bit and they were seeing all these different things. And in my head, I was like, this is giving me very Magic School Bus vibes right now. Is this an organism? And then the point where I realized it was the son was with the little blob or Splat, and he was like leading them to the Reapers, and then they go through like the breathing forest.
Yeah.
And the trees are like breathing basically. And I was like, oh my God, that's totally Oliva or whatever. It's part of the lung. Like that's totally what that looks like.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like after you finish it,
yeah,
it's like all the creature designs are kind of, they're very unique and very cool looking, and it's wild and strange, but it like loosely resembles like I don't know if you can say organisms, but just things
Yeah,
in
parts
the
of the
body.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty cool. And then eventually we find out that they are, in fact, inside of a gigantic organism and that their world exists on the back of a gigantic turtle
Yep.
that swims around in this ocean like planet. And that was a really cool moment for me, just because I like turtles. And, ocean
Like
is,
turtles.
yeah.
Yeah. It
So
was
that,
cool.
that was pretty cool. Um, what did you think about the whole like electric plant thing?
You mean like the discovery of a new
Yeah, the
power source?
pando, and then
Uh, I don't know. I mean, I thought it was like okay. I guess like nothing. I didn't really have that many thoughts about that specifically. Like I enjoyed the entire arc between the son and the father. Um,
in the beginning, the
yeah,
searcher and his dad.
I like the entire theme where it's exploring and adventuring and all
Yeah,
that kind of stuff, and the styling and the I guess the thing itself about the whole discovery of the power thing, like it's cool or whatever, but it's like not really that big of a deal to me.
mm,
The connection between that and then causing like cancer to the creature
yeah,
was very I thought was very cool. And it's kind of just like a representation of what we do in real
right.
life.
That's kind of what I just wanted to touch on was like, did you get that as you were watching it? Like,
Yeah, I mean it's
is that a
clearly
tone that you picked up on?
representing just us in real life as
Yeah,
humans, which I enjoyed that and the fact that they wanted to stop it and save it once
right.
they realized what they were doing and everything. I like that whole aspect, and then just the crazy like visuals of everything. I just thought was awesome.
Yeah, for an animated movie, the visuals are pretty incredible. There's some I don't have a lot because honestly, when we were looking for images and stuff, there really weren't a whole lot of pictures, but like the visuals of this world were pretty incredible, and just the way that things were represented, like the blood streams, right, with the
Yeah,
little cells, and then the animals being different organisms
yeah.
and
So if you
whatnot.
can imagine like any jungle adventure type
Yeah.
story or movie, mix that with Osmosis Jones, and that's kind of what this is.
Yeah, that is true. You know what's funny about Osmosis Jones is I had never watched that show until like you started coming over to my house for the
Yeah, I
podcast,
love it.
and like there was a couple times where you threw it on the TV. I had never even heard of it until then.
Yeah, it's a classic movie.
It is. But yeah,
It's
you're
actually
exactly
very
right.
educational too.
It is. Yeah, it is. You're very right. It's very very similar. Uh, which brings me to one of the monsters that I wanted to talk about, which were the Reapers. You can kind of see them right here
A little bit.
in this frame, but oh no, okay, there we go. But these are the Reapers. They are a like tentacly monster thing, which in the beginning of the movie, before it's revealed that they're inside a living organism, these are like the big scary monsters that are trying to get them and eat them, which we end up finding out that they're like white blood cells,
Yeah,
basically.
basically.
But when I saw this, all I could think of was the monsters from the Matrix, the like tentacly ones
Yeah,
that I don't remember what they're called.
the main like soldier
Yeah,
droid thing.
that's all I could think of. And then like when they were trying to run away from them and they were all like swarming the bloodstream and all that stuff, like all I could think of was the Matrix and stuff. I thought it was a pretty cool parallel. So, uh, yeah, I don't
Like I said,
know.
these creatures, man, like
Kind of freaky
they're very scary.
for
Like
an animated
surprisingly,
child movie. They're
yeah.
kind of freaky.
Like I, it's hard to hard to tell until you watch the movie, but like especially from different shots, like they look pretty freaky.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
coming at you like they're kind of freaky.
yeah. They're pretty freaky. Yeah, there are a lot of cool creatures and stuff throughout this movie. Even like the super tall thing that would like throw little polyps off its back to replace when the dad is like burning down what
Oh
they
yeah,
thought was grass, but really it's like the cilia within your body. Um, and then like even stuff like that was cool. The pterodactyl bird looking things were cool, which I don't really know what those are, like what those would equate to.
I'm not sure. I think those are the ones though that I saw a thing that's saying that they were kind of inspired from fireflies in their
Mm,
design. Because like I forget when it is in the movie that it like gets dark and everything kind of like
right.
glows.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it was, the creatures were really cool, and everything kind of fit within the theme, and nothing really felt out of place, which I thought was great. And it what it does is when you have like the visuals of this world combined with monsters and the creatures that fit it, and nothing is like ridiculous or out of place, or even like the physics and the laws of physics didn't change either, which was something that I actually liked. Because sometimes when these like weird movies that where they go to another world, like the laws of physics change, right?
Yeah.
But I like that it didn't. I like that things still were the same, um, because what it does is it allows you to focus on the actual story of this movie, which is the, like I said, the generational like turmoil and growth between the grandfather, the dad, and then the son Ethan, and how it like parallels the problems that they're going on in their home world and what they have to do in order to fix everything, you know.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool, and I really enjoyed the main storyline. I really enjoyed seeing just even from the beginning with the relationship between Searcher and his dad when they're trying to go over the mountains, and like the dad is just so gung ho about getting over those mountains and getting to the other side, and that's all he cares about. Because I've seen relationships like that. I've seen relationships where the father is just so hell bent on one thing that he kind of forgets his duties and his responsibilities.
Yeah.
Uh, and then to see the next generation try to completely like flip that, like try to be so unlike his dad that he ends up being like a different bad version
Yeah, that
of his
was
dad.
one thing I ended up enjoying in the end, but kind of bothered me throughout the movie was
Mm.
Searcher's character. Because as a viewer watching through it, I'm
Yeah.
like, you're literally the exact same as your dad. You just do different
Yeah.
things. And so he finally realizes that, and then he's like, "Oh no, I'm exactly like him." Oh
Yeah.
shit!
I guess I relate to it because I know like of specific examples like within my family and stuff of people doing that, and I think it's a natural reaction for
It is,
a lot of
yeah,
people and fathers that they just don't want to be the same as their dad or their whatever. So, uh, it was a nice story that I could relate to, and they had a lot of funny lines throughout it.
yeah. I enjoyed the family dynamic in this movie quite a bit.
That is true. It was very heavily family oriented. This is the mother right here, down in the bottom. I don't remember her name or who she's played by, unfortunately.
Let's see. The mom, Meridian Clade,
Meridian.
played by Gabriel Union.
Oh, Gabrielle Union.
Gabriel Union.
Uh, and then this is obviously the grandfather played by Dennis Quaid. And then overall on this side, they have like a girl who's played by Lucy Liu. She's like the governor or whatever of their area, and she was also on the original expedition with the father and Searcher when they found the plant for the first time that gave them power. It's very family oriented. And then we have
Yeah.
this dog over here that's a three-legged dog who's just the luckiest dog in the world because he's just so happy-go-lucky, but nothing ever happens to him. It's quite funny, actually. And you can also hear my dog in the background, like a crazy dog. But yeah, you're right. It's very family oriented, and I really enjoyed that about this movie.
Yeah, because I was worried in the beginning when they introduced Callisto Mal. Like you said, she was kind of like uh, Yeager's like henchman kind of in the beginning
Yeah, it was
when he was like an explorer. She was like always like his
a
partner.
follower or whatever. Yeah.
And then once he goes missing, she becomes the governor, whatever. Um, and I think it's just maybe the way it was she was presented in the beginning. I was like, oh, I really hope you don't do this. Like, in the
Evil.
end, becomes evil and wants to take over and says no, like I'm in charge or blah 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 blah.
Well, she kind of did, but I know what you mean. Like you didn't want her to be like this big bad that there was no redemption to her. But in reality, like what happened was she was trying to save their society because their power source, this plant, was dying and they couldn't figure out why, and so they're trying to trace it to the source. Turns out it was really like a cancerous or a type of thing that was affecting the the world that they were living on. So there's this moment where she is like, you know what, we're gonna kill all the creatures anyway because she wants to save her society.
Yeah,
But she doesn't go like full evil because eventually they convince her like, hey, like this is
yeah.
gonna
Once
do more
once they
harm
get the
than
full
good.
story,
Yeah,
yeah, she's like, oh okay, I didn't know
which is
that.
nice to see because you'd like to see that kind of thing play out in real life too, right? Where people aren't actually all bad, and if they get presented with the full story, that they would choose the right thing,
Yeah,
which is what she did. So, yeah, I think that was pretty cool. The yeah, I don't. I don't really know what I was gonna just say, but
yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
But yeah. Anyways,
Anyways, I really enjoyed the movie. I think it was really solid, and I don't have, I don't really have many issues with the movie
no, yeah,
that I
don't
can
either.
think of. Ladies and gentlemen, that's really all I got to say on this movie. I hope that you guys can hear us out and watch the movie yourself, and hopefully you guys can come to the same conclusion on a lot of these hotter topics that seem to be the focal point of a lot of people's negative reaction to this movie. Um, and I do hope that people, other filmmakers and other people can take a look at this movie and see what this movie does right with those things, and hopefully, you know, try to implement the same kind of concepts going forward with other things. So thank you guys for being here. I just want to do a quick shout out to everybody that has been watching our videos and subscribing. We've like, I know we constantly say this, but we're a small channel. But just the fact that we're getting people to subscribe to our channel is incredible to me,
Yeah,
and the fact that our viewership is steadily going up. Like we have 2 out of our last 3 videos have broken 100 views, and in this day and age where like things go viral and get thousands of views all the time, but for me, like that's still a huge deal to me.
yeah,
The fact that 100
big deal.
people watched one of our videos is awesome, and I'm super thankful and super grateful for everybody that watches our videos. So thank you to you guys. It really does make us in this time that we put into it worth it, and make us want to keep doing it. So thank you for all the love and support, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. Check out our social media links down in the description below. Check out the other shows that are here on Any Kind Media, Diamond in the Rough, and High and D Sports. And we will catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye guys.